Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me once again for another book review. Outside again. I do like being outside, so when I can get outside, I'm out there. So let's go ahead and see what book we're going to talk about today. This book is called The Social Climber by Amanda Pellegrino, and I might be pronouncing that last name incorrectly. I don't have the physical copy of the book. However, as always, I will attach a picture of the book cover at the end of this video, and you'll see what that cover looks like. So let's go ahead and jump into this one. At first, this story sounds like they're telling a love story, right? It starts off with the upcoming days before Eliza's wedding. She's going to become a part of the Walkers, a predominant wealthy family. You question if she is a happy bride, uh, because something just kind of seems off, right? And she doesn't seem to be all that invested in the wedding, marriage. Something's off. Something ain't right. It's not the typical bride to be behavior, okay? So, as the story goes on, you realize there is a bigger plot at hand. Oh, yeah. And so the story flips between the present and the past. Eliza reveals events that happened in her college years that are affecting her current situation. Now, Eliza came from humble beginnings, a religious, strict, and traditional role family. She managed to convince her parents to allow her to attend college. She picked a religious school because she knew a secular one wouldn't have made the cut. Okay. She arrives at college pretty much naive, but somewhat ready for what the real world has to offer, even in the confines of this religious college atmosphere. Now, to her surprise, not all of the students are religious and get into quite a bit of mischief. Eliza makes quick friends with her roommates and some other students on campus. She is in the process of getting to know who she is as well. And her roommate and her want to experience the party scene outside of the school's sanctioned functions. And they finally find out who the rebellions of the school are and kind of infiltrate their circle. And they finally get to attend an off campus party. They end up with more than they bargained for. And you will have to read the book to find out what happens. The happenings at this party and its attendees change Eliza's life. So, jump years later, Eliza is still affected by what happened during her college experience, and she wants justice. Eliza's hunt for the truth puts her in a position where she must social climb in order to bring about retribution to this high society family that believes they are above the law. Will Eliza succeed? Well, you'll just have to read the book to find out. The majority of this story makes you feel like you don't know where it's going. So you just need to be along for the ride until all is revealed. The author does a good job of slowly developing the story, almost to the point of losing the reader if they decided not to hang in there. Okay. I will admit, I almost put the book down myself. But I didn't. I pressed forward and got through it. But um I originally started listening to this book as like a palate cleanser from the genres that I had been reading. And from the title and the cover graphics, I thought, oh, this is going to be about, power plays to become part of the upper crust in the world. And it turned out though this was in the same genre of mystery, which I wasn't expecting, obviously. No, I didn't read the synopsis of the book. I just wanted to kind of be surprised and just let the story unfold without knowing any information about what it may be about. I was surprised about what the book was about. Pretty much something happened in her college experience that she felt needed to be rectified. And that college experience affected her life um, moving forward. So it's a mystery. I don't want to tell you about what the college experience was because I mean, then that would give kind of the book away, which I really don't want to do. But what I will say is that something happened to someone and justice was not served. The happenings afterwards were unjust as well. And so Eliza finally decides to take matters into her own hands and uh, do something about bringing on justice. That's all I can tell you. So, there are some warnings to give. There is domestic abuse mentioned and sexual content described. There are religious views and commentary described in this story. There are some scenes described that could be minimally jarring, involving depiction of sins. And there is death and violence described as well. Now, I think the context of this book is prevalent. I don't know who the author intended for the targeted audience, but this could be used as a cautionary tale. The author touched on issues that can spark great conversations, such as peer pressure, underage drinking, eating disorders, body and self image issues, drug usage, and a sexual experience, just to name a few. I don't know if there are any discussion questions in the physical copy of the book, but some topics of discussion could be how extreme slash strict and protective parents can affect a person when they become an adult. Do you think the child slash now adult runs wild once free from parents, or do they stay true to the strict blueprint that has been their lives thus far? Another topic could be religious versus secular colleges, pros and cons. The need for acceptance of peers during college years and the possible negative or positive outcomes from that. Do you think colleges should have such control over its students like the one in this book? A conversation about the role of the administration and persons of authority at this college. Do you agree or disagree with how they handled the situation in this book? Talk about law enforcement and other government officials and how they respond to the situation in this book. Do we think things would have been handled differently if a wealthy family wasn't involved? So those are just a few conversation topics to get you started. I'm sure after you read the book, you can come up with more things to discuss. Now, I did listen to the audiobook, which was almost 9.5 hours long. The narrator is Kristen C. I have no idea if that's how they pronounce their last name. Probably botched it, but sorry. I think Kristen did a good job bringing the story to life. I think the author, though, could have played up on the events that occurred just a little bit more in terms of description or using more forceful or jarring description. for it to be in the mystery genre. The storyline is good, but as is, it could potentially make someone not finish the book. There was an imbalance with the past and the present. In the story, it seemed that there was more past information than present information. I wish there was a little bit more of an intertwine with the two throughout the story. It would have made the connection and lead up to the climatic part much better. I also think that there could have been more detail or more information provided about how this couple got to the point of being married. Like, what was their courting relationship like? There could have been some added juiciness about how we got to the marriage point with these two persons, because it goes from college years to like the day before and the day of the wedding. It was like, it felt to me like there was a gap, and it was like, well, how these two, how was their relationship before this proposal? And the author could have put a little bit more twists and turns into the story. I think if they kind of expanded upon that portion of the story, I don't know. I just think it was lacking. I felt that there could have been more. Now, obviously, like I said, the topics of discussion, you could probably have some pretty really good ones, because I think some of the things that the author touched on are very relatable. And like I said, it could be a cautionary tale for some that are going into college, kind of that beware, be mindful, um, you know, that peer pressure or all of that. I think the author did a good job with that. And that is why I gave it a 6.5 out of 10. Sorry. It's not a bad book. Don't get me wrong. Me personally, I felt there could have been a lot of room for growth with this storyline. Um, and that is why I'm giving it that 6.5 out of 10, because I felt that there was a lot of room that this author did not take advantage of. So there's that. If you haven't read the book, go get it. You may feel totally different about it. Go get it, read it, tell me your thoughts in the comments. If you agree, you agree. If you don't, you don't. Just be respectful in the comments. Already read it, tell me what you thought about it. But that is it for this round. Thank you so much for tuning in. Go ahead and click that like, subscribe, and share. Um, and as always, keep turning the pages, my book lover.